Well, West McDonald here with Kenneth Edmonds. And I'm apparently suffering some pretty serious damage to swing. Choppy and candy probably then going most of the talking. How are you?
I am fine, and hopefully my internet's working a little better than yours is today. I think what it was is they found out you were moving, and they've done something to you even. But for everybody that's joined us this morning, do me a favor. Let us know where you're watching from in the comments. We're glad to have you here. We've had a couple of week hiatus as Wes was getting ready to move. He had a store to move and getting ready to sell his house. So he's been a little bit on the busy side.
Yeah, and fortunately, a lot of the heavy lifting, literally heavy lifting, is complete. So we're kind of in the last of getting a house ready for sale, which for anyone that has done that recently, it's not like where you just kept your place clean and you got people, they've got a complete product as your house. That every room is aged, it's deep personalized, your movie thing. Any people that actually live there, as perhaps people can add living in the space themselves. So it's a lot more work than it used to be. This is my third house, and I have to do this for the first two houses. So there you go. I'm not sure anyone else out there in T land that's watching has gone through the same thing. Certainly leave your comments and let us know where you are. We love comments and questions, and today in particular, I can't all people to share they're from, which I love. It's nice to know where people are from. And I think it's particularly important because we are actually talking about flat rate around the world and how it's absolutely taken over. And maybe you can talk a little bit about this app that we created. I'm just going to show this in a second and talk about some of the countries that we have been working in.
Okay, so I will talk about some of these countries for a while here, Wes, just to make things a little easier. Obviously we broadcasted from the U.S., West and Canada, so the U.S. and Canada were there. But it was amazing to us as we had this event ongoing, the places that people joined from. So we had people from Australia, from South Africa, from the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Spain, France, the UK, and Norway. And all of these people joined in to learn more about flat rate. And you could say the movement is picking up. We're working with clients in various countries around the world now, getting set up to help them get flat rate certified. And the reason it has turned into a global event and you could say a global movement even, is because the people see the advantage. We really have found a way to make the office equipment environment and let's say the technology environment for a customer as customer-centric as possible. In other words, we make it easy for them to pay a single rate every month that covers part or all of their technology needs. And it's billable. They can wind up dealing with one vendor instead of 4 or 5. There's just so many advantages to it from the customer's perspective. And then from the dealer perspective, it is huge, the impact that it makes.
Yeah, I would agree. I find it interesting. One of the things that I wonder about often is that I really feel that the flat rate movement gaining more traction globally than it is in the U.S. The countries like UK, countries like Australia, countries like France have really been leading the charge in flat rate offerings. And I find that interesting, and I find that sometimes speaking with dealers about why that be. So maybe one of the things we can talk about for a second, Ken, if you want to dive into it, is do you think in the United States, the traction has been a little slower? Do you think it becomes more hopeful that we're going to return to normal?
I don't know that it's necessarily that they think we're going to return to more normal. I think the issue really is that moving my screen protect. Sorry about that. That the challenge exists that we can become complacent. I had an interesting conversation with a guest on my podcast yesterday. We were talking about the fact that in a lot of times when businesses reach a mature state, that they lose their entrepreneurial spirit and they fall into a rut, into the status quo. Everything's working. We've got enough money coming in. We're pretty happy with the way things are. So let's not rock the boat. And the guest and I yesterday, we were discussing the fact that the companies that really thrive are the companies that continue to reinvent themselves and continue to expand their horizons, push forward, to become more and more customer centric. Because as the market shifts, if businesses don't shift, then the end result is that customers move to businesses that become more customer centric, more, let's say, easier to do business with. I was in class when I was teaching class yesterday. I surveyed my students. I said, how many of you have clients that like meter readings? Nobody put their hand up. I said, how many of them like billing errors? Nobody put their hand up. How many of you guys like having to have somebody go get meter readings? Nobody put their hand up. So they all recognized that the things that are associated with our current model there's a lot of negatives in that, and it is frustrating for customers and for the client or for the dealer.
Yeah, I also find that in the global market that there's certainly there's a different sense of where we're at in the pandemic, and I think we've fallen into a security where we think we're actually through the worst of it, and then all of a sudden we keep having these flare-ups, and our plans for returning to normal keep getting good, right? So I've got my first trip coming up in October, and I've got my fingers crossed that they let Canadians into your country. I'm so ready for it.
I'll have to put up a wanted poster for you so that you can't get in.
Well, man, I'm telling you, that'd be first trip in almost 2 years, which is crazy when you think about it, right? So there's certainly that. Some of the countries, it's funny, like when you look at Australia, we've actually dealt with a few customers in Australia that are really in the flat rate model, and those dealerships in Australia are actually smaller than you would typically see in the U.S., right? That I think they're actually probably closer to Canadian-sized dealers. So you look at them, if they're doing $5 to $10 million a year, that's a pretty good business, right? Whereas obviously in the U.S., we've got a lot of businesses that are doing, upwards of $100 million a year, and $40 or $50 million a year is not uncommon. And I wonder sometimes if that is the reason that they're much more flexible, because they always say that larger ships always take longer to, kind of make the turn once they know it's time to do it, right? Do you think that has to do with it, just the size of companies?
Well, I don't know, because it was interesting because we think of the biggest company is Marco, and they're doing flat rate. So yeah. I don't think it is necessarily a business size. I had a conversation with a gentleman here in North Carolina the other day, and it's kind of interesting because they're starting to move in the direction of flat rate, and the owner you could say, is pretty much on board with it, but he's getting resistance from some of his department heads, over it. And so I think that maybe there's just fear that, that something bad might happen. But it's interesting. This goes back to the conversation yesterday. We were talking about startups, and when somebody starts a business, they got to overcome a ton of fear.
Yeah,
because yeah, if they've never been in that position, and I went through that. I started my own dealership. I started now several businesses, and there's always that fear: will it work? But that the only way to find out is to try. And it's the same thing with flat rate, and what we've seen with dealers that do it. And we have some dealers, even though they're not necessarily flat rate certified, there's some dealers that are making a lot of noise in the flat rate space right now. They're working, very successfully. Anybody that's on LinkedIn, obviously should know Earl Everson. He's on LinkedIn Live. He does a great job of using social media. And he's a perfect example of a company that maybe just doesn't have any preconceived notions of how to do it. And so he's out there, expanding his horizons and looking for new methods and new models and doing it very successfully. He's lately been advertising the end of the copier lease, and talking about the fact that his clients don't have a lease anymore. And, I thought it was interesting because that's one of the things that you and I talked about in the flat rate challenge. It was how to get out of that ability or that space of leasing the equipment, because really as a dealer, you're better off if it's your equipment and you just sell copies, because it gives you so much more flexibility.
I feel this for both, right? But flat rate opened up this opportunity for ownership of equipment as a dealer much more than any of the traditional models, right? And the type of banner blow for access to the 10-day challenge for free is, I think, a lot of hesitancy in the flat rate model comes from unknowns. And I can tell you, working with dealers and with a partner in the world, that it's not unknown. If you get this 10-day challenge absolutely for free, you will have so many questions answered. And if we're answered, Ken and I are quite happy to help you with. I think the biggest aha moment is when we're working with dealers, helping them with their flat rate program, when they realize they're not actually going to lose money, that they're going to make more money. And that's always been the fear. I'm not sure where it comes from, that once it's flat rate, that they're going to be missing opportunity. But the way that we built the model, it actually delivers much more profit and revenue to your bottom line than the traditional cost per page model. So I encourage everyone, if you don't talk to Ken and I directly, to make sure that you get access to that 10-day challenge, because those questions and many more are answered, right? So
exactly, and I would say, what I would say to those that are listening is reach out to get to the free access. And I don't know what I'm going to do about Wes, because he keeps giving away my vacation money free. But if you join MPSA, you get free access with your membership. So the membership is $250 for joining the MPSA. The course, the 10-day challenge, is a $239 value. So you're really only paying $11 extra to become an MPSA member, and to have a share in both learning, but also in helping to shape the industry moving forward, becoming somebody that is in a position to share your insight and to learn from others and collaborate to continually strive to improve our business and to make it more sustainable, make it something that's good for everybody, for the customer and for the dealer.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about the MPSA, is that ability to work with other dealers, to work with vendors and providers, sometimes even competitors, to do better for the industry, to help tackle these big questions and these big problems, right? And certainly people from around the world that are doing things in different ways. So I would encourage those that would like to learn more about some of these folks that are doing flat rate around the world. Get in touch with us. We'll help you with that. We can introduce you to some people. And so if you want to get started on flat rate yourself, and you're in the U.S., then we are ready for you. So sure you get in touch with us. What I would say is that Ken and I, we've been waiting for one spot to open up, and I'd feel safe to say that we're probably 2 weeks away from that. So I apologize to anyone we've been speaking with and on hold, but Ken and I work directly with every client that we engage in the flat rate model with. So you get us, you get our expertise and our learning. So thanks for your patience and waiting in line. Like I said, we've got one more spot, which is going to be coming up soon. So make sure you get a chance on it. And Ken, speaking of the world, go ahead, something here.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I missed it.
I said through my bad internet connection, you got something bad, so you had.
Okay. Well, what I was going to say is, so that you can get the best possible connection with West and I, be at the BTA show in Asheville coming up in October, toward the end of the month of October. Wes will be there talking about flat rate. I'll be there talking about business planning. I'm also moderating a panel with dealers that are expanding outside of the environment of just doing office equipment and looking for other ways to bring revenue in. And we have some individuals on this panel that are doing an exceptional job. So you'll have a chance to hear me ask questions. I don't get to talk. I just get to ask questions, but you'll get to learn from other dealers to see. And it's interesting in my, in setting up this panel, the constant theme has been is that their expansion outside of just copiers really protected them during the pandemic. And it's also significantly improved their customer retention. So you get a chance to discuss all of these issues over a nice weekend, or an end of the week, I should say, Thursday and Friday in Asheville. And hopefully they timed it well and we'll see fall colors at the same time.
Yeah, I can't wait. And I think it's important what you say there, Ken, is that diversification and looking at the business, other things, not just flat rate management, but for IT services or unified communications, cybersecurity, and some of these other things. I get so excited every time I talk with a dealer who started their efforts in diversification years ago and really experienced the benefit through this pandemic, that even when pages were in decline, that there were still things, there were more things actually customers needed that they could provide, and that their businesses actually became whole because of those. I think we'll keep it short to Ken. Again, my horrible BAM connection, so I apologize to all of our friends out there in flat rate world. But get in touch with us if you provide that already has a flat rate program and you want to get flat rate certified. We do have a certification logo page, which is designed for end users to drive them forward. We'd love to help you with that. If you're looking to build a flat rate model, Ken and I are available. Like I said, I apologize for any waits or queues, but obviously we feel it's important to work directly with dealers to make sure you get this training partnership available. So, Ken, thanks very much for tuning again today and having a better bandwidth connection than I do.
Yeah, usually it's me that has the bad internet. I had a good day today. And again, thanks to everybody that's joined us and that watches this on the replay. If you ever have any questions, again, you can catch both Wes and I are easily found on LinkedIn. We'd be glad to do anything we can to help you. Again, if you want access to the challenge, join MPSA. You can get it free. You can buy it for $239 also, though. That would help fund my next trip. Anyway, I like to joke about my travel. It's kind of rubbing salt in the wound on Wes, too.
Good to see you, Ken. Hopefully my bandwidth over next week. Cheers, buddy.
Bye.